start something. You feel me? When we not on no negativity from now on, man. We not doing that. I'm just here to be positive, and I don't speak on anything negative, you know. So that's the new wave. That's what we going forward with. Anything negative, we not talking about it. We not speaking on it.
His team, and it's his process. I also think it's extremely obvious that Kevin Stefanski doesn't mess with Shedeur Sanders the way the outside public believes that he should. When you think about this process, it feels that Kevin Stefanski wasn't ready to draft Shedeur Sanders, and then upon drafting him, he didn't put a plan in place to handle the person. You have to understand with Shedeur Sanders is going to come more media attention, more scrutiny. He's going to be treated unlike anything else in that locker room or anything else we see in the league based on his position.
It's wild out here today as Cleveland braces for another chapter in the Shedeur Sanders saga. The Browns front office is officially in meltdown mode, and word spreading through league insiders says ownership is furious about how Kevin Stefanski botched the whole Shedeur Sanders injury situation. Tension sky high, and this drama's about to explode. See, Stefanski might be out there in press conferences playing the calm, composed coach act, but behind those closed doors, the vibe's way different. What's happening inside that facility might just shock the whole NFL. Rumors are flying about a massive coaching shakeup that could flip the Browns' entire season upside down. It all started with how Stefanski handled that rookie oblique injury. Fans think it was straight up reckless, and now the backlash is unreal. Pressure's mounting by the hour, and the whispers inside the building. Somebody's about to take the fall. Ownership's reportedly digging for answers, and people are saying heads could roll any moment. Cleveland's spinning into full-blown chaos, and it's uglier than anything we've seen since the Deshaun Watson mess. Fans are fuming, players are uneasy, and Stefanski's seat is burning hotter than ever. And the wildest part, after his post-game comments about Shedeur's condition, even his own locker room might be turning on him. That moment only threw fuel straight onto a blazing fire. That viral clip from practice, yeah, the one where Shedeur is casually tossing the ball, then suddenly clutches his side in pain, wasn't some harmless tweak. That was real pain from a quarterback pushing through something serious, something the coaching staff clearly ignored. And here's where the drama turns explosive. Word is, Browns ownership is furious, like behind closed doors screaming mad. They believe the entire situation was mishandled from start to finish, and their patience has just about hit the wall. This isn't just frustration anymore, it's personal. Sources say Stefanski's under massive pressure, with whispers spreading that this could be the scandal that blows the lid off Cleveland's front office. Just think about it for a second. After years of disappointment, you finally land a once-in-a-generation quarterback who brings hope, swagger, and national attention back to the city. And what happens? Your coaching staff can't even protect him during practice. That's not bad luck. That's straight-up organizational failure from the sidelines to the top. The fans are boiling, and honestly, who can blame them? After endless heartbreaks, false rebuilds, and broken promises, Cleveland thought they'd finally found their savior in Shedeur Sanders. This whole thing is straight up embarrassing. Let's break it down, because Kevin Stefanski's explanation makes absolutely no sense. He said Shedeur felt it early warming up and then felt it throughout individuals. Excuse me? Any half-decent coaching staff would be watching their rookie quarterback like a hawk, especially one carrying this much hype, pressure, and expectation. Yet somehow, Stefanski and his crew let him keep throwing through visible pain until he literally couldn't go anymore. That's not caution. That's reckless neglect in plain sight. And the worst part? Listen to how Stefanski tried to brush it off like it was no big deal. Guys, that tore. We'll treat it day to day and see how he responds, but we want to be smart because he's a thrower. Day to day. Come on, man. Oblique injuries aren't some minor nuisance for quarterbacks. They're everything. That muscle controls your twist, your power, your accuracy, your entire throwing motion. The fact that he downplayed it so casually tells you everything you need to know about how out of touch this staff is with reality. Here's what people are whispering, but nobody's bold enough to say out loud. Stefanski and his staff pushed Shedeur Sanders way too hard, way too soon. The Browns are out here trying to juggle 4 quarterbacks when they can't even keep 2 healthy. Dylan Gabriel's fighting a hamstring flare-up. Kenny Pickett's got his own lingering problems. And now Shedeur Sanders is sidelined with an oblique strain that never should have happened. That's not player development. That's a straight-up training camp disaster. This isn't bad luck anymore. This is pure dysfunction disguised as preparation. And Cleveland's patience, it's hanging by a thread. But here's the part nobody's putting together yet. Browns ownership isn't just frustrated.
Not judging the Browns for the decision. That's entirely a football move.
Yeah, I think whatever Kevin Stefanski says is fair because it's Kevin Stefanski.
They're furious. These aren't quiet owners who sit in luxury boxes sipping champagne. These are hands-on, call the shots, get me answers now types. And right now, they're watching their multi-million-dollar investment fall apart right in front of them. Jimmy Haslam didn't throw millions into this quarterback room just to see Stefanski turn it into a rehab clinic. This was supposed to be a bold investment, the kind that turns a cursed franchise into a contender, not a cautionary tale about how to ruin young talent. And the reason ownership's blood is boiling? Because they're watching other rookie quarterbacks around the league flourish. Caleb Williams is tearing it up in Chicago like a seasoned vet, putting up highlight reels every Sunday. Jaden Daniels, he's out in Washington making magic, showing poise and brilliance that has his fan base buzzing nonstop. Meanwhile, Cleveland's NFL-ready from day one prodigy, Shedeur Sanders, is sitting on the sideline, clutching his side, watching everyone else's stars rise. It's humiliating for the front office, infuriating for ownership, and devastating for fans who believe this was finally the year. At this point, it's not bad luck. It's a complete failure in leadership. And somehow, Kevin Stefanski managed to make it even worse just by opening his mouth. When reporters asked him about the evaluation process, he basically admitted he can't even properly assess the quarterbacks because of all the injuries. His words? Injuries stink for all these guys. They don't want to miss a rep for any reason. Seriously? Maybe if the training staff actually did their job, these guys wouldn't be missing reps left and right. Fans aren't buying that weak excuse for a second. It sounds like a coach scrambling to cover his tracks while the entire team falls apart right in front of him. It's giving panic vibes, not leadership energy. Let's be real here. Stefanski's seat was already smoking hot after last season's chaos. The Browns barely kept GM Andrew Berry from getting fired, and the only reason he survived was because Stefanski managed to sell ownership on some bigger plan in motion. Well, that so-called plan's crumbling faster than ever, and the pressure heading into the 2025 season is unbearable. The media's circling like sharks, ownership's patience is gone, and every player in that locker room knows the clock's ticking. Stefanski might have saved Berry's job once, but who's gonna save his now? The results just don't match the hype anymore. And the fans, oh, they're making noise. A lot of it. Social media has been going crazy with one message on repeat. Make Shedeur Sanders QB1. After that preseason opener against Carolina, where Shedeur went 14 for 23 with 138 yards and 2 touchdowns, the entire city lit up like it just won the Super Bowl. Fans finally saw that spark, that glimpse of the future, and now they're begging to see more, not less. They don't want to watch their young star rot on the bench, nursing preventable injuries while the team plays scared with aging veterans. The city's hungry for excitement, and the people know what they want. Shedeur leading the charge. But here's what's really burning up Browns ownership. They know they've got something rare. Shedeur isn't just another rookie pick. He's their golden ticket, the type of player who could define the next era of Cleveland football, a true franchise quarterback for the next decade. And instead of protecting that future, Stefanski's system is grinding him down before he's even had a fair shot to shine. The optics are downright awful. Joe Flacco, a 40-year-old veteran, is staying healthier than your 22-year-old phenom. How does that even make sense? That's not just embarrassing, it's unacceptable. The walls around Stefanski's job are closing in fast. Fans are outraged. Ownership's losing patience, and the locker room's starting to whisper. You've got Dylan Gabriel and Kenny Pickett limping through soft tissue injuries, and now Shedeur Sanders, the one guy who brought energy and hope, is sitting out with an oblique strain that could linger for weeks if they mess it up again. That's not bad luck, that's flat-out organizational failure. Something's broken deep inside the Browns system, and everyone can see it clear as day. But here's the wild twist that's got fans absolutely furious. Kevin Stefanski didn't just mishandle Shedeur Sanders' injury. Insiders say he intentionally slowed down the hype train right when the fans were ready to ride it full speed ahead. The timing couldn't be worse. Cleveland was buzzing. The city finally had something to believe in again. And just when it felt like this could be the turning point, Stefanski hit the brakes. Why? Because he's more focused on controlling the narrative than unleashing his young star. He's playing scared when he should be playing bold. Ownership's watching this circus unfold and asking the question that could define the Browns' entire future. Is Kevin Stefanski really the right coach to develop our franchise quarterback? Because let's keep it real. If you can't keep your QBs healthy, can't manage the hype, and can't create a competitive environment without half your players getting hurt, then what exactly are you bringing to the table as a head coach? This is the NFL, not a rehab clinic. Fans didn't show up for therapy sessions. They showed up for wins, energy, and a spark that Cleveland's been craving for years. And to make it even worse, the Browns' upcoming schedule is a nightmare. They're about to crash headfirst into a gauntlet of brutal defenses, the Bengals, Ravens, Lions, and Vikings. Those aren't teams you want to face with a beat-up roster and a confused quarterback rotation. And thanks to Stefanski's shaky decisions, that's exactly where Cleveland's headed, straight into another meltdown. The irony here is wild. Stefanski came in with the reputation of being a quarterback whisperer, the calm, strategic genius who could mold young talent.
Sanders is right there starving and waiting for an opportunity. So I looked at it like that, and I just said to myself, okay, but that's how it goes. You know, Joe Flacco's a veteran. You know, Kevin Stefanski, you know, knows what he's doing as a coach, etc. But then something like this happens. We're supposed to sit here and believe that Bailey Zappi is a guy that's the QB2 on this squad. Really, that's what we're doing now. I just find that to be a bit fishy. And so, you know, Dylan Gabriel obviously is your QB1. He's a guy that has earned the opportunity to do that. Mina pointed out last week accurately so. He had a better performance in the preseason than Shedeur Sanders did. I get that part. Shedeur Sanders played well, albeit against Carolina.
Into stars. But let's be real. Where's the proof? He inherited a roster stacked with playoff-level players and managed to squeeze out one good season. One. Since then, it's been the same sad loop. Hope, hype, and heartbreak. Every single year, the same story plays out like clockwork. A hot start, a collapse, then a mountain of excuses. And now, instead of protecting the future, Stefanski's putting it directly at risk. Shedeur Sanders was supposed to be the fresh start, the spark that reignites Cleveland football and wipes away decades of disappointment. But under Stefanski's watch, that spark is being smothered before it can even catch fire. Fans see it, players feel it, and insiders say even ownership's patience has snapped. People close to the organization are whispering that the front office isn't buying what Kevin's selling anymore. Behind closed doors, the vibe's cold, and the whispers are turning into serious conversations. The kind that don't end with, let's give him another shot. The kind that end with, who's next? The walls inside the Browns facility are buzzing with tough questions. The kind that make people sweat. Why can't this team keep their quarterbacks healthy? Why does the training staff always seem one step behind when it comes to developing young talent? And the biggest one echoing through those hallways is Kevin Stefanski really the guy to lead this franchise into the future? Is Kevin Stefanski really the right man to lead this franchise into the future? That's the question echoing through every hallway in Berea right now. These aren't casual whispers anymore. These are serious, high-stakes conversations happening behind closed doors, with jobs and reputations hanging by a thread. But here's the twist that's got the whole city talking. Even with all the chaos, all the injuries, and all the noise, Shedeur Sanders is still proving he belongs. Despite Stefanski trying to keep the hype in check, Shedeur's play is doing all the talking, loud and clear. His preseason performance against Carolina wasn't luck. It was pure talent on full display. Poise, confidence, command, he had it all. Every time he touched the field, you could feel the entire offense come alive like electricity. The rhythm changed, the energy shifted, and fans saw exactly what Cleveland's been missing. And that's what's driving people insane. They know this kid's the real deal, and yet he's being treated like some developmental backup instead of the future face of the franchise. The Browns didn't draft Shedeur Sanders to learn and wait. They drafted him because he was NFL ready. Right now, ownership expected him to challenge for that starting job immediately, not sit in film sessions watching his oblique heal while the same old mistakes play out every Sunday. Let's be honest. Cleveland's fan base is done with excuses. They've lived this nightmare too many times, from Couch to Manziel to Mayfield. The hype, the heartbreak, the endless rebuilds. It's the same story every time. Promise, pain, repeat. They truly believe Shedeur was the one to break the curse, the player who could flip the script and finally rewrite Cleveland's legacy. Instead of progress, it's starting to look like the same old Browns dysfunction, just dressed up in a new jersey. And it's not just frustrated fans talking anymore. The pressure's coming from every direction. The media's circling like sharks, tearing into Stefanski's decision-making and calling out all the contradictions in his words. Every press conference feels more tense, and his answers, they're not convincing anyone. Reporters are pushing harder, fans are louder than ever, and even players inside the locker room are starting to wonder, can this coaching staff actually develop talent, or are they just wasting another golden opportunity? Because when players start doubting leadership, that's when the whole thing starts to crumble from the inside out. And ownership, oh, they see it too. Behind closed doors, the frustration's boiling over. The message is simple and sharp. We gave you everything you asked for. They gave Stefanski Joe Flacco as a steady veteran backup. They gave him multiple draft picks to build depth. They built a competitive quarterback room stacked with potential, and somehow it's still falling apart. That's the tone inside those meetings right now. anger, disbelief, and zero patience left. At some point, you can't keep hiding behind bad luck. This oblique injury isn't just a random setback. It's a symptom of a much deeper issue. It's about preparation, discipline, and leadership, or the lack of all three. The Browns have everything they need to compete: the talent, the money, and one of the most loyal fan bases in football. What they don't have is the steady leadership to hold it all together. The solution for Cleveland's chaos starts with one thing: replacing Kevin Stefanski and finally bringing in leadership that understands conditioning, awareness, and the smart management of valuable assets. That's what separates winning franchises from ones stuck in permanent confusion. When you've got a young quarterback who could literally be worth hundreds of millions to your future, you don't gamble with his health in meaningless practice drills. You protect that investment like gold. And that's exactly what's driving Browns fans up the wall right now. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't just any player. This kid's built different. He's tough as steel, both physically and mentally. Back at Colorado, he took hits that would have sent most players packing, but he kept standing tall. He's not afraid of contact, not afraid of pressure, and definitely not afraid of the spotlight. His mentality screams NFL ready, the kind of mindset franchises dream about. So when he goes down with something like an oblique strain during routine practice, fans aren't buying that bad luck talk anymore. They see through it. It raises some serious questions about what's really going on behind the scenes. The training methods, the conditioning routines, the recovery programs. Something's off, because there's no way a player this driven should be sidelined from preventable mistakes. And
Let the week play out, make a decision later on that.
Yeah, I imagine that Stefanski has a long list of things he's got to think long and hard about over there with that squad. But this not knowing the backup QB, is that fair or foul, Stephen A., for Stefanski?
I think
it makes it all worse. Stefanski's copy-paste responses every single time. We're taking it day to day. We don't want to rush anything. Fans are tired of hearing that same lifeless line while other teams are out there making moves. Look at Chicago. Caleb Williams is getting real reps, real confidence, and real progress. Washington's doing the same with Jaden Daniels. Other teams are letting their rookies take control and learn on the fly. Just look at Washington, where Jaden Daniels is getting the green light to grow. But in Cleveland, they're treating their first-round pick like he's made of glass, and it's driving everyone insane. This overly cautious, scared brand of coaching isn't leadership. It's pure hesitation, and Browns ownership sees it crystal clear. They didn't invest millions of dollars in this quarterback room just to sit back and watch opportunities slip away like sand through their fingers. They wanted momentum, swagger, and growth, not fear and stagnation. You can't build a championship culture if every time someone gets a bruise, the whole operation freezes. Right now, Kevin Stefanski's coaching style screams one thing: fear. Fear of losing, fear of taking risks, fear of accountability. And that fear is bleeding through the locker room. Players can feel it, fans can sense it, and ownership, they're done pretending everything's fine. Here's the brutal truth staring them right in the face. Stefanski's had 5 full years to prove he's the guy. 5 seasons to develop quarterbacks, build a real identity, and create something lasting. And what's he got to show for it? 1 playoff run, multiple quarterback controversies, and now his most promising rookie injured before the season even starts. Cleveland's frustration is reaching its boiling point. The fans are angry, the locker room's losing belief, and the front office is running out of patience fast. Inside Berea, the whispers are growing louder by the day. Whispers about a fresh start, a new voice, a coach who can actually maximize the talent they've spent years investing in. They're tired of seeing potential wasted by bad conditioning, scared decision-making, and leadership that's lost its spark. If things don't change fast, those quiet whispers around Berea won't stay whispers for long. They'll explode into headlines. Cleveland Browns move on from Kevin Stefanski? And honestly, that headline might be closer than anyone wants to admit. The Browns desperately need a leader who gets it, someone who understands that player development and health management go hand in hand. You can't build a winning culture when your best players are either limping through practice or stuck in the training room. That's not football. That's a failure of priorities. But here's what still gives Cleveland fans hope: Shedeur Sanders. Because no matter how much chaos swirls around him, this kid is different. He's built for pressure, born for the spotlight, and wired to overcome everything thrown his way. He's been under intense scrutiny his entire life. Growing up in the public eye, carrying expectations that would have broken most players, and yet every single step of the way, he's delivered. From high school dominance to college stardom, and now stepping into the NFL, Shedeur's proven time and again that he belongs at every level. One oblique injury isn't stopping that kind of fire. This is just a speed bump on the road to greatness for a quarterback who refuses to fold. Shedeur's got that rare mix: focus, discipline, and an inner drive that burns hotter with every setback. That's what separates stars from legends. Will the Browns finally get serious about building the right foundation around this kid? Or are they just going to keep replaying the same old mistakes that have haunted this franchise for decades? Because no matter how talented Shedeur Sanders is, no player can thrive in a system that's broken from the inside out. If ownership really wants to fix this, then maybe it's time to stop making excuses and start making moves. Here's the cold truth. Every Cleveland fan already knows deep down, talent without real development is wasted potential. And Cleveland's been wasting potential for years, turning bright futures into what could have been stories. This city has lived through heartbreak after heartbreak, watching promising players fade away under poor management and worse leadership. But this time feels different because now they finally have something special, a quarterback who could completely redefine the franchise, a young leader who's got the toughness, charisma, and skill set to bring real hope back to Cleveland. And the terrifying part, they can't afford to blow it again. So the question is burning hotter than ever. Is Kevin Stefanski really on the hot seat this time, or is this just another episode in the never-ending Cleveland drama? Because fans aren't buying the same recycled lines anymore. The patience is gone, the frustration is real, and the city's mood has officially shifted from asking to demanding change. This isn't just about one bad season, this is about decades of dysfunction. So here's the million-dollar question echoing through the dog pound. Are the Cleveland Browns finally ready to make the hard calls it takes to become a real championship organization, or are they going to keep spinning in the same tired loop of mediocrity that's defined this team for years? Fans are done with excuses. They want action, real, visible change. And at the center of it all is the biggest question in Cleveland right now. Does Shedeur Sanders have the grit to bounce back from this injury and still rise as the franchise quarterback this city's been waiting for? Because if there's one thing we've learned about Shedeur, it's that he doesn't fold under pressure. He thrives in it. He's been counted out before, and every single time he's answered with fire. But still, you can't help but wonder, is this shaping up to be another Browns quarterback controversy waiting to explode? The tension's thick, the fans are split, and ownership's running out of time to make a decision. So here's where it gets real. Do you think the Browns should finally pull the trigger and move on from Kevin Stefanski once and for all? Or should they give him one last shot to prove he can turn this chaos into something real before it's too late? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know what you think. Because right now, this situation is evolving by the minute. The pressure's rising, the spotlight's burning hot, and the entire NFL is watching Cleveland like a live reality show. The media's circling, the fan base is ready to erupt, and every whisper feels like it could break into breaking news any second. Trust me, this story is just heating up. So if you want to stay locked in on all the Browns drama, wild twists, and insider updates, make sure you smash that like button, hit subscribe, share this video, and turn on those notifications. Cleveland's about to make some massive moves, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. This saga's far from over. It's about to get crazy.